Internet is out too. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Internet back on.
Yeah. 1 second. Okay, so you see it back up on the screen. So The One Thing is a great book. Have you guys read it here in the room? You both read it? Okay. Great book. It's an easy read, and it has nothing to do with real estate. It's more about managing your day. Time so you can argue that this book was 4 years ago. It came out about 4, 5, 6 years ago. It's more important now because and made it hard for us to focus, made it easier for us to be distracted. But if we're mindful about it, we can achieve our goals around us. And despite, so we're going to play a game, and you get to play because you're in the room, and I don't have this is not a Zoom, so I can't see what people are doing online. But you can play it and have the knowledge of knowing how you did. But you guys are going to play in the room. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. I'm going to do a scavenger hunt. If I can advance the screen. Scavenger hunt. So, how many points? Here are a whole bunch of things. How many points can you get in 2 minutes? Starting now. I'm going to set a time. So we're get these things. Down is have to go get these things if you have them. If you have them. Some of them on you. And there's different prices, different values. You can. There's method in the madness of this game. I did this in one group and someone got over 100 points.
Sorry, I didn't do it.
Yes, I know. That's okay. I think the people who are watching this on YouTube might be laughing hysterically right now. I hope you are. We try to. Okay, you have another seconds. Ren is taking this seriously. She's thinking about what she has and what she doesn't have. You're writing up the points?
Yes,
the points?
yes.
Good, good. Yeah, that camera is going to have to be. People don't want. Go around the back of the camera. Just in case anyone is watching this, this is being recorded for all time.
I didn't know this was a camera.
Yeah, that's what we're fussing with all wires. Be careful of the, yeah. All right, 2 minutes up. We're not going to spend any more time. All right, Ren, what's your count?
41.
41, awesome. What's your count, Miriam?
40.
Okay, so 40 to 41, you win, Ren, by 1 point. Okay, so what did you get? What were your things?
The selfie.
Yeah. Sure.
Took 2.
That's 10 points right there.
I have my pen.
Pen, so that's 10. 10 is 21, that's 11.
I took shot. Selfies.
Yeah.
With a family member of last week. Okay. Well, I took selfies of myself.
Okay, so did you do a pose?
I was looking for the One Thing book. It's not here, but
I
did a selfie.
Okay, very good. And Miriam, what did you
Ask me, I thought Links understood the game.
Okay, the point was to get as many as the number side by collecting these things. So here's the point. If Ren had taken a picture of herself with Miriam and had just let her camera snap, she would have been at 100 or 180 or 280. And the point is that not everything matters the same. Better to get the one thing booked. Better to take a whole bunch of people in the room at 20 per selfie than to worry about even the one thing book or any of these other things. So when you're looking at a checklist, a lot and or less. We're going to talk more about is the one thing rule. This is right out of the book, and this is the philosophy of time management that you want to think about. What you do such that doing it, everything else is necessary. What is the thing? Talk about this class in terms of real estate, but there's areas of lives that are important for this. One is spiritual, physical health, personal life, key relationships, job, business, finances. You may have a one thing in each one of these areas. Why is it important to think about it this way? And that's because of the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule says it gives you 80 results. This has been proven. They did some on this about 100 found out this to be true. No matter what you talk about, 20% of the effort leads to 80% of the results. So that leads us to the most important. What is your 20% work? What is moving forward your life goal? What is that moves business success more than anything else? What are your should do versus could do activities? And then how much of your time do you doing that 20% work? So, big question. Agent. Yes, very good. The 20% work of a real estate agent is lead gen. If you're not spending 1/5 of every day or the 5th of a week doing lead gen, you are not doing the 20% work of a real estate agent. Why? Because if you do lead gen in that time, if you do lead gen 15 hours a week, I just said 1/5, I didn't mean that. It was 15 hours a week, 2/5 actually, closer to 2/5. Oh. It's 20% of the week, but you want to be doing it 40 or 50% of the time. The more time you spend on lead gen, the less you have to worry about your business, because that is one thing that will make everything else easier or unnecessary if you're building your business. When that might be door knocking, it might be open house, it might be phone calls, it might be interactive text messaging, it might be going to a networking meeting, but that is our 20% work. So the more you can do your 20% work beyond one day, which is what I said before, the more you can do it beyond one day, the more likely you're going to be effective in real estate. So we make a distinction between efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency is the stuff you got to get down. It's not the 20% work, it's the 80% work. Got to do a flyer, you want to be smart and efficient about it. Want to prepare a PowerPoint presentation for a meeting, you want to be efficient about it. But you want to do lead gen, you want to be really focused on it and be effective with it, because it's the most important work you do. So this is on the typical, which will be on your left if you're looking at it on the screen. That is what most people do. And if we're talking about lead gen, they're doing what? About 1/5 to 1/6 of their day on lead gen. But the ideal is half your day, half your work time on your one thing. If you can get up to, if you as a real estate agent can get that high, that you're doing 20 hours out of every week in lead gen, you're a superstar. And I promise you, the superstars in our business are doing half their time building their business. That's what superstars do in this business. And they don't let themselves get distracted by buyer home inspection appointments or listing prep or any of the other things they might be doing that are not part of building their business and doing prospecting and lead gen. We're going to talk a little bit about how do they possibly do that as we keep going. So I'm glad there are a few people in the room because we're going to have a little conversation now for the benefit of those of you online. 2 questions I want you to think about. What are your personal challenges right now with time management? And the second question, what techniques are you using right now to be effective with your time? So let us ask the people in this room. So why don't you go first? How are you challenged by time management right now?
I seem to be able to put everything on my calendar. The problem is to be able to stick to the calendar. I think I'm not effective with the time block. I don't sweep the minds.
Right.
I let the distractions pop up during my golden hours, and they take away my time.
I really appreciate that because I also create calendar for myself, and every day it has stuff on it, and I struggle with the exact same thing. That's a very, very reasonable challenge. And there's no golden silver bullet either, but we're going to talk about some strategies. Yeah.
One thing that I have noticed with myself, that if I plan my day the night before, I can be more effective.
Yes. Check your calendar the night before and think about your day and make sure you think about what's really important and not important. That's great. So you answered both questions. One technique and what the challenge was. And because we're limited for time, I'm going to go on and start talking about some tools for success and some thoughts about this. But I do want to suggest gently that the more committed we are to our time block, the more we honor it. So for example, if you were going into a doctor appointment because you had some symptom and you were worried about it, you probably would be less distracted when the doctor was talking with you. If you were in a movie theater and they told you to turn off your cell phone and go watch the movie, I know some people don't go to movies anymore, but in the movie houses or at a live performance of a theater, right, you would be so committed to that $100, $300, $400 you spent on the ticket that you would, have your phone off during the performance. You certainly wouldn't have it silenced at a minimum, and you would not be distracted by it. The level of commitment impacts how we manage our time. If you just spent a little bit of money to go to family reunion or mega camp, which are 2 big sales conferences we do where we have a lot of education and learning, then you're going to be there. You've spent all that money. You're committed. That's going to block your calendar and you're there. And you probably are juggling work while you're there. So there's a bit of distraction even then. But you're there. You're not anywhere else. Each and every moment of every day we make decisions about what we're truly committed to. And if we end up spending too much time glancing at news headlines or at our computer, our game on our phone that we just love, or whatever it is, chatting on Facebook or on TikTok or whatever it is, that's an evidence of that we're not really committed to the other thing. All right, so let's talk about tools. And I know I'm rushing through because we have a lot of content and we started late. So tools for success. So just a list, 411 and GPS. So do anyone in this room use a 411 and GPS? Great, awesome. It is a Keller Williams tool to help you manage your year. So it starts out with what are my annual goals, what are my monthly goals, and what are my weekly goals to achieve the monthly goals, and when the monthly goals achieve the annual goals. Another tool is the 135, and I'm going to show you templates for both of these 2. The 135 is a priority and a strategy tool to sort of focus you on how to complete a task. Your personal calendar is a tool. There are apps to help you form habits about things. A couple of them are indicated here. Your motivation, how much do you want it? How much do you really, truly want it, whatever it is? And accountability tools, such as having an accountability partner or another kind of reporting tool. So here's an example of the 411. So it's got the annual goals, the monthly goals, and the weekly goals. And the idea of this is that whatever you put down for weekly should tie to the monthly goals. Whatever you tie to monthly should fit your annual goals. You can do this any time of the year. You don't have to wait till November. We have business planning clinics in November where they do this, but you can do it any time of the year.
What were the habit-forming apps?
Oh, they were, one was called, now these, I just pulled these two. I don't know if they're any good or not. Someone recommended one of them, but I've never used them. This is not an endorsement. There are lots of habit-forming apps available on iPhone and Android. Way of Life and Habit Tracker are the two that I put on this chart. But.
Thank you.
And then we have our 135. The 135 is another tool. This is a cool tool. So let's suppose your goal is to sell 15 homes in 2023. That would be in the top line. And then 1, 2, 3. What are your 3 goals to achieve that? So maybe you put down go on 10 listing presentations a month. Host at least 4 open houses a month. Whatever it is, that's going to help you get those closings. But appointments get you closings, so they're probably going to be appointment based in this example I'm giving you. So then for each of those 3 things, goal 1, 2, and 3, what are your 5 strategies to achieve them? You know, you guys are not in my new agent group, but in the new agent group, I go through this with them around lead gen. So for them, the top line is lead gen. And then 1, 2, and 3 might, one of them is script practice, one of them is time management, one of them is completing certain objectives of the program. So theirs is a little different. And then, so let's suppose goal number 1 is one lead gen strategy, goal number 2 is another lead gen strategy, goal number 3 is another lead gen strategy. You may have different strategies for each one. So you can use this for marketing, you can use this for overall business plan, you can use this for organizational plan. Maybe you're trying to build a team, maybe you're trying to get leverage, human leverage into your system so you can be more focused on lead gen and aren't busy doing the busy work of administration, which you're being grossly overpaid for. Why someone like you guys who is an agent who's probably worth $150 to $300 an hour for your expertise as a realtor, doing $25 an hour admin work. So hiring a VA or an admin is maybe part of your big goal for this year. I don't know. Everybody listening to this, watching this, has their own 20% thing. Usually lead gen. Maybe it's lead gen, but then one of the goals is to leverage my time by hiring a VA. And then you have a whole strategy of how you're going to go about finding the right person. Because you should be quick to fire, but slow to hire. You want to make sure you have the right person. So important. Okay, that's a different class though. Okay, let's keep going. Time management matrix. Start calendaring with color. Because when you calendar with color, you will be shocked at how much of your calendar is in the yellow, is in the green or the blue. So, what is yellow? Crisis. I found out today that my cat is not feeling well, and we had to make a rush appointment, take him to the vet. That's a crisis. Other things fall off the table. Even lead gen, if you have someone who's sick, right? Or a beloved pet, right? Emergencies, pressing problems, deadline-driven projects, last-minute preparations, like Joe and Brianna, just half an hour ago. What did they do? They turned their schedule upside down to accommodate us so that our people can watch the recorded version of this. That is what we would call, not an emergency, but certainly pressing problems, certainly last-minute preparation, certainly deadline-driven, right? Now, but there's also really important stuff in the red. Preparation, planning, prevention, values clarification, capability improvement, relationship building, and true recreation and relaxation. But for real estate, it's the second to last one. Relationship building, that's lead gen. All lead gen is building relationships so we can get appointments, so we can get escrows and get closings. That's all it is. So, if we're thinking about our 20% lead gen time in real estate, we want our calendar to be 50% red, ideally, at least 35%. I tell the new agents 15 hours a week minimum they should be doing for lead gen. That's what I teach them. All right, if you are going to have green, you are going to have blue, not if, they are going to happen. In fact, you can even schedule some of the stuff in blue. But just look at your calendar. You want it to be red, mostly as much red as you can fit in there. Okay, so let's talk about calendaring, because there is a technique to calendaring that I learned some years ago that I want to share with you guys. How do you create your business calendar? So, question for people here live: what should come first when you're creating your calendar for your business? What's the first thing you should put down in that calendar? Any guesses? Don't be afraid to guess. Personal what?
Personal time off.
You are close, but that's number 2.
Okay.
Your one thing.
Nope, that's actually number 3. Let's go look at the list. And you could disagree with me, by the way. So the first thing I recommend you put on your calendar is wellness, meditation, exercise. Whatever that looks like for you. Maybe that's an hour of meditation in the mornings. Maybe it is going on a walk. Maybe it is going to the gym. Maybe it is your yoga class. Whatever it is that keeps you healthy of mind and body, that should be first. I don't want agents to be so stressed out that they get sick. If you have to take care of your body and your mind, it is not good enough to simply say I'm getting 7 hours sleep, or and working 15, 16 hours. You need time away physically to recharge. That's your sleep, right? But you also need time to clear your brain, because you'll be more effective as agents if you do. Number 2, your non-work time second, rest and play. That's important too. When I started in real estate, I scheduled Fridays I wasn't going to work. I basically told all my clients in voicemail and in person, because we didn't have texting in 2004 that people were using when I started. So I would have a voicemail message, and I would tell everyone when I did a consultation, I work Saturdays through Thursdays till 7 p.m. And if that's good, that shouldn't be a problem, and if it's an emergency, I'll be there, but that's my day off is Friday. Most people, totally cool. There is a general level of respect, at least by your words, for you having a day where you're not working. Number 3, your one thing work. That's next. So for us real estate agents, it's usually lead gen. But it might be project based. You guys might say, okay, in the month of May, in order to drive forward, in the month of March, which is what we're in now, in order to drive forward my success, my one thing is hiring a VA. So I am going to make that my one thing for this month. And lead gen will come right after that. You could do that. You're business people. You run your businesses the way you see fit. All right, schedule your 20% work as early in the day as possible. Why? We're going to get to that in the next slide, in a future slide. Color coding to classify your time blocks on your calendar so you can see that you're using your time properly and effectively. And then review your calendar at the start of each week or daily, as was suggested earlier. Review your calendar. Things change. You get invited to meetings you weren't expected to get invited to. You schedule meetings you didn't think about on Sunday. It's good to look at it regularly. It will help you stay organized. So, I have some calendaring philosophies that I want to share with you. First of all, if it isn't on your calendar, then it doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. You will fill the time with something else. The next thing is, if you erase it, replace it. Specifically your 20% work. Let's suppose that you are planning to do lead gen on Thursday at 11 to 12. You're going to spend an hour on the phone or sending texts or whatever it looks like, maybe knocking on doors. It doesn't matter. You're going to do that from 11 to 12. But on Wednesday night, you find out that there's a problem with your escrow. Maybe there's let's see, what's a good example? Not a problem. Let's suppose the appraiser. The only time the appraiser can go out to the property is at 11 o'clock the next morning. And other than that, you're going to have to wait 2 weeks. Well, you're going to go to that appraisal or that home inspection or whatever it is that's come up. And you're not going to be able to do your lead gen that you scheduled. So replace it. Consciously, intentionally, move it on your calendar so you don't lose it. because otherwise it'll be gone. You'll never do it. The other thing I recommend is schedule spaces between your appointments just to catch your breath, go to the bathroom, get water, and to just breathe. Try not to have appointments back to back to back to back to back without rest all day. That is often harder to achieve than you might think. One of the ways that I achieve it is by using calendaring apps, like Calendly. Calendly is amazing for someone like myself who takes a lot of appointments because I'm a coach. So for me, when students want to meet with me, when clients want to meet with me, they book a time on my calendar using my calendaring app, which automates my availability, allows me to automate scheduled spaces between appointments, allows me to clarify, block out lead gen time so that people don't want to make an appointment with me. So calendaring apps can be a very powerful tool in this regard. So here is the map that Gary Keller put in the book, The One Thing. All these images, by the way, are from The One Thing book. So as you can see, he's got personal time Saturdays, he's got planning on Sundays, he's got a vacation in there, and he's got the one thing at the top of every day he's working business. So it's an example. So, how do you protect your 20% time? How do you protect it? Well, first of all, you need buy-in from the people you live with and care about. If you don't have buy-in for the fact you're going to be working and you're not to be disturbed by children or animals or spouses or whoever they are, parents, that's a problem. So you want to have a conversation about it. Secondly, ideally you want to have a place in your workspace or your office that is away from potential distractions, that is quiet, especially if you're in a role where you get where other people come to you a lot. If you are working from home, dress for the occasion, dress for work. It creates a mindset by dressing up and not going to your computer in your jeans or even your sweats. Dressing up for work you don't have to put on a dress or a tie and suit or anything, but you should dress for work, even if you're working at your dining room table. And then start work at the same time every day. That helps make it habitual. Even if you're working from home, you're going to be at your computer by this time every day. You don't have the commute you used to have, but still work starts when it starts, right? So these are just tips. You can take them or leave them. More tips. Turn off phone notifications. So on my phone, I've got all notifications disabled except very important urgent ones. Now, I leave messaging on if my wife has to contact me. Obviously, that's urgent, right? Could be urgent. But I turn off all of a lot of these apps that you load on your phone automatically have notifications on. Yeah. Turn them off. So you can also, nowadays, the phones are getting so sophisticated, you can actually have them only off from designated times, like a work setting. And it's relatively easy. I have an iPhone, so it's really easy to use the focus functionality to make sure, so you don't have to, so if you want those notifications on when you're not working, no problem. You don't have to go app by app and turn them back on. You just use this setting on your phone for work. I'm in the work mode now, or I'm in the non-work mode now, or whatever, to help you get notifications when you want to get them. Non-essential email and text. So if you are using texting as part of your lead gen strategy, and most of us are these days, because a lot of people prefer text over voice mail, how do you avoid the non-essential email and texts? Well, one idea is to have a separate email and text for work, basically. And you're just going to give this with people who you might do business with or who are in business contacts. And then all the emails and texts that you get from personal life are in a different email account, so you don't have to worry about clutter from that. It's the same way that Google and all the apps, not just Gmail, but all the mail apps now have an important and an urgent section versus a non-important and a non-urgent section to help you sort. It's the same idea. Create a supportive physical environment. So if you have a cluttered desk, that can discourage your productivity. Why? It's a huge distraction. This happens to me all the time. Piece of paper goes up, piece of paper, pile of paper, and book, mail, and it's all cluttered up on the desk, and I'm busy doing something, and I glance over there, and I say, well, gee, I have to pay that bill. Boom. Lost 10 minutes right there, or 5 minutes, or whatever it is, right? Advertise your work modality to potential disruptors. So I'm going to show you that on the next page. It's really cool. You can let people who would normally want to talk to you in a nice way know that you're not available during this particular time you've set aside. I'll show you in a minute. One of the toughest things for real estate agents is learning how to say no. You have to be able to say no, not now, to people who are using that time that you want to use for your one thing. I'm not saying you have to say no all the time. I'm saying you should say no during that time that you've designated to do your one thing. I teach the new agents at the brokerage how to launch their careers, and I have a 1-hour meeting with them every Tuesday morning in one office, Friday morning in another office. And both before and after that, I've added a half an hour of availability. Because invariably somebody comes early and wants to ask me a question before the group meeting, and after the group meeting, more people want to come and tell me their own personal story of what's going on and how they need help with X, Y, or Z. So I time block that. And I don't look at my phone, I just help these agents during that half hour before and after. So anyway, just a thought. So I don't have to say no, right? Oh, someone texts me and says, hey, Stephen, I have a question for you. Oh, I'm going to be in the office a bit early tomorrow before our class. Can you bring it to me then? That's okay, right? Find an accountability partner. Have someone you can talk with every day, not just around your numbers. How many calls did you make? How many appointments did you get? How many escrows did you open? Not just around that, but also, did you devote the time you said you were going to do to lead gen? And if not, why? Having an accountability partner is amazing. I have one. Do any of you guys have an accountability partner? Right now, you're just developing a relationship. Do you have an accountability? You should get one. It's a great idea. Those out there watching this on YouTube Live or YouTube later, get yourself an accountability partner you're going to talk with every day, and then they're going to check in with you. It could be a text, guys. It doesn't need to be a meeting. It doesn't need to be some formal powwow. Just a text. Hey, you said you were going to do an hour of lead gen every day. Did you do your hour yesterday? Oh, yes, I did. Great, thumbs up. That's it. It's all of 10 seconds, the whole thing. And if you say no, then you have an opportunity to explore what got in the way and grow and learn from that. Okay, here is the example I wanted to give you. This was on the door of an office, of one of my offices, by an agent who had she has a team, and she didn't want people from the office bothering her during her time doing lead gen, and she didn't want agents on her team coming to her during that time. So she was really focused on the model and on this idea of time management, and so she had a sign. Pretty sweet, right? Yeah. You can do this. People will respect it. In fact, they may respect it more than if your door is just closed. Because if your door is just closed, they might knock. Some people won't read this and they'll knock anyway. And you can point to the sign. Have a big stick and just point to the sign with an arrow or something. Okay, I want to quickly go over some myths and misunderstandings because we have a few more things to cover. And I've been going really super fast, but we started late. So, all right, there are 5 or 6 what I call myths or misunderstandings. I don't call them that. It's in the book. It's in the One Thing book. So the first one is about multitasking. Multitasking. Everyone talks about, I'm a great multitasker. That's a complete myth. It's completely untrue. No matter how efficient you are multitasking, it isn't really as efficient as staying focused on task one. Why? What happens? At the end of your primary work, when you get interrupted, you have to switch in your mind your energy about it, and then deal with whatever the distraction is, deal with the distraction, you've reoriented, then switch your mind back and go back to your primary work. So, If you are at a meeting, a big meeting, and everyone here is so attentive, and I'm really grateful, but often we are at meetings, big groups, where we take out our phone and we look at the meeting. We look at an email or respond to a text. I promise you, you are not superhuman. You did not hear what was being said when you are focused on your text or your email. Human beings aren't capable of it. I don't care how super amazing you are. And you're all super amazing. I promise you, you didn't hear the words. You might get the gist of it. You can piece it together from what the sentence before and the sentence after, but you cannot quote the sentence that that person said at the front of the room if you're distracted by your phone. That's one example. Another example why this is a myth. Has anyone ever written an email, been working on a really hard email and really into it, and you've got a paragraph, so you're thinking about how you want to word this very careful message to your client or to the agent on the other side, and you get interrupted, and then you have to come back to the email. And you've forgotten your flow. You're not exactly where you were with it. You have to sort of rethink it. That's another example. Okay, let's keep going. You can argue with me if you think I'm wrong. Okay, next. Everything matters equally. This goes back to our scavenger hunt. You missed the scavenger hunt, but we did a scavenger hunt at the beginning of the class. And I asked people to, they could get points if they found certain items or created certain items. And what that exercise proves is not everything matters equally. You want to go out in the scavenger hunt, you got more points for certain things than other things, so if you pick the things with high points, you'd win, right? And that's because not everything matters equally. You want to have a should-do list, a success list, not a to-do list. Now, I'm the kind of person who loves lists, and when I make a list of things I have to do, either the night before or in the morning, I put everything on it. But I also, first thing in the morning, I then curate the list. And I say, here's what's critical for success today. And then if I don't get done the rest, I don't get done the rest. I rarely get done the rest, by the way. There's usually 10 or 15 things on my list. And if I get done the should-dos, I consider it a successful day. I consider it extraordinary if I get done 2 or 3 or 4 items beyond the should-do list. This can help because everything doesn't matter equally. And lead gen counts the most. So your activities shouldn't be the stuff that you want to do. Avoid that trap, right? Oh, I like spreadsheets. I really want to create this new document, this new worksheet for my class. Well, is it on the should do or the to do list? Well, it depends. But if I really want to do it, I always question myself. Am I not doing something I should do because I enjoy the other thing more? That's a big trap.
Say that one more time.
Yes.
So let's suppose you really, really want to do something that's on your list, that's work related. I don't know, maybe study disclosure package. Okay, you're going to do a showing 3 days from now. Okay, and you want to look at the disclosure package. You're curious about the property, or maybe you want to run comps. We like running comps. That's a fun task, right? But it's not due. You don't need to do it till Tuesday, and it's Sunday. And what you really have to do is lead gen. You need to call. You need to send texts and emails to maybe 500 people, and you need to phone 10 people today, and you need to do that. Well, you would rather do the CMA and the disclosure package review instead of picking up the phone. That's what I'm trying to get at.
So am I doing the other thing because I enjoy the other thing better than
Yes,
the one thing?
that's the trap. That's the trap. A lot of people don't like lead gen. A lot of people don't want to pick up the phone, knock on the door, whatever it is. All right. Discipline. It takes, according to studies in this book, it takes 66 days to form a habit. 66 days to form a habit. That's a long time.
I heard it's 21 days.
The book says 66. I don't know. Here's the thing. You've got to keep doing something over and over again because there comes a time that if you don't do it enough, you don't have the motivation because of the discipline. Because you get to a point where you don't want to miss a day anymore. Let me tell you about my own experience. I started exercising on a bike, a stationary bike. And I created a habit where I do it every day, and if I don't do it, it feels like it's not right. And I had to create that habit. I never used to exercise in the morning. I used to get up and get dressed and, wash and shower and go to work. Now I have a whole exercise regimen, stretches and biking. It didn't happen overnight. It took time until I got to the point where that's just part of my day now. That's what we're talking about, habits. Same with lead gen, by the way. So nobody expects you to go from 0 hours of lead gen to 3 hours a day. Maybe you just start out with a small task of a half an hour every day or an hour every day and take it in chunks. That's another thought. All right, another myth, the idea of a balanced life. There's no such thing as a balanced life. What we are constantly doing is counterbalancing. And at times, work will take precedence, and at other times, other things will take precedence. And it's about counterbalancing. If you want to have extraordinary results at work, you might need longer periods between counterbalancing. This is where buy-in from family becomes important. Maybe you don't schedule the vacation in the summer. Maybe you schedule it for next year as a reward. Something like that. Maybe at a certain point, you're going to work until 7 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock because of the focus on work at that time. So this idea, we have to be thinking about, balanced life a little more carefully. And maybe the working long hours or longer hours for doing more lead gen and having less time for your personal stuff will allow you in 2 to 3 years to go the other way and have more time for your personal life. All right, next one. This is my favorite one. Willpower. Okay, so the bottom line is your willpower goes down the longer and longer the day goes on. And it is always bad at the end of the day. Now, my proof is going grocery shopping at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Because if you go grocery shopping at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're going to spend more money than you would have at 10 o'clock in the morning. We see things, we buy them. The impulse shopping mode comes into play. Because our willpower's gone. Huh?
Not at 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock in the morning? No, you have your willpower to say, no, I don't want it. Willpower is not always available to you. Your willpower will fade when you are tired and hungry. You don't have the willpower. If you're hungry, you stop at the Jack in the Box or the McDonald's and eat something you know you shouldn't, right? More likely than you would at 10 o'clock or 11 in the morning when you still have a good reserve of willpower. But my favorite example is the grocery store because I've just seen it over and over and over again with not just me, lots of other people. Okay, so those are the myth understandings. So we're now just going to summarize because we've gone through a lot of material. Number one, set manageable priorities. This is what I was talking about. Instead of maybe you can't do 3 hours a day at once for lead gen. So maybe you're just going to do 1 hour a day at the start and build up. 2, time block your time to your calendar so it's written down, at very least digitally, ideally physically, because the physical act of writing things down also helps imprint them on us. Identify the top distractions for you. Make a list. How are you going to handle them? Think about how you're going to handle them as an effort. Spend 20 minutes. How are you going to handle these distractions? And then finally, I want you to think about being gentle with yourself, okay? Because this is really, really hard work. Set small goals, build up to bigger accomplishments, I said that. But it's a lifelong effort. I've never met anybody who has this down. This is hard work. It is a lifelong thing. And what you hope to achieve is some level of efficiency with your time management, that you feel you're getting your work done, right? But you're going to be distracted, and you're human. That's part of our condition. So that's more or less all of it. Thank you. And I put my contact information up there if you don't have it and you want it. But can I answer, does anyone have any questions or things they want to share with the group?
I like the color coding part.
Oh, good. Are you going to do it?
I want to do it.
No, you're going to do it?
I'm going to do it.
Okay, she's going to do it. We have witnesses.
Color coding.
Yeah,
I think that's the one thing that I don't have in my calendar.
good. Good, good, good. Miriam, do you have a takeaway?
Yeah, that calendar to make it first is the personal health. For me, it's the last, and I don't have the energy to exercise or to meditate, so.
Make it
that's
first.
a half point, yeah.
Oh, you'll feel better.
Yeah.
I feel better now that I have it as part of my morning ritual.
Mm. And I have a question on that PowerPoint, make it efficient. I'm struggling to make it efficient. I just want to have like a few PowerPoint, but ended up being a lot of PowerPoint. So give me an example of.
Do you enjoy
efficient.
making PowerPoints?
No.
So you spend a lot of time on it though, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know what you were working on and how you could have done it faster or more efficiently. You're creating a PowerPoint, was it for a buyer presentation or a listing
Exactly.
presentation?
First time home buyers.
Yeah, so first of all, once you've got a good buyer presentation, you shouldn't have to do it again and again and again. You should have it all set and it should be a template. You don't need, apart from name and contact information, you don't need to customize the presentation for every single buyer appointment. So that's kind of upfront work. So you spent a lot of time creating your buyer presentation, you should be able to use it over and over again, you know, for some period of years. Same with your listing presentation. They don't need to be custom for every single thing. This is efficiency versus effectiveness. That's 80% work, creating a buyer presentation. Be efficient. Do one that you can use for everybody. Maybe you change the name and on the front page or something, but not making you have to do a lot of work each time. But effective, you do want to customize your lead gen, right? So let's suppose you're sending text messages. Don't do a mass text message. Do a unique text message for each person, or video, or phone message, or whatever it is you're doing. But that's good. Thank you for sharing that. What about you? What did you think? What's a takeaway for you?
If I can write it down in front of me that I'm doing the other thing because I enjoy the other thing, then the one thing that I should be doing.
Yeah, I struggle with this all the time.
I use color coding, but I use it differently. Green means it's a money making.
That's good too. A lot of people do that.
Blue is that that's only I should be doing. I cannot delegate it. I cannot give it to somebody else. And anything else, I'm still working. The yellow.
So that's an interesting methodology, because if it's money making, lead gen would be included in that.
Yes.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And of course, going on a buyer appointment or a listing appointment is high priority. I would move my lead gen to go, if I couldn't schedule the appointment at another time, I would move the lead gen so I could do the appointment.
Yeah.
Certainly, showing property is in that realm too. You know, if I can't schedule the showing at a time when I normally do showings and I have to do it at 10 o'clock in the morning, you move the lead gen.
Yeah, and then I should look at the weekly calendar. Do I have more greens
Yeah.
than anything else or no?
Yeah. You want it to be close to 50%, right? That's more efficient, right? You're more likely to have the results you want.
Has over the years, have you figured out what time of the day is best for lead gen?
It depends on you and on the type of lead gen you're doing. So for me, I find have more willpower in the morning, as we've talked about willpower, and so I'm not a big, it doesn't thrill me to go start making phone calls and sending text messages and emails. It's not something that I adore doing. It's like I can't wait. It's part of the business. I got to do it. So I like to do it in the mornings. So for me, and most of my lead gen these days is texting, email, and voice messaging. I don't do much door knocking, and I'll host the occasional open house for my team, but that's not my main thing. So for me, it doesn't matter that I'm doing that in the morning instead of the afternoon or the evening in terms of when I'm going to reach them. I haven't found any difference, especially now people working at home so much.
One side question. Do you wear that name tag only at KW or outside as well?
Oh, I wear it outside as well, especially if I'm going to the supermarket, the grocery store, because it has the red and people think I work at Safeway. And so they come and ask me where the green beans are. And so I say, I can tell you where the green beans are, but actually I don't work for Safeway. Before I say that, I say, I actually am not an employee here. I'm a real estate agent. I help people buy and sell homes. Is there anything I could help you with around that, since we're talking anyway? You make light of it. They love it. They laugh. They think it's hysterical because they know they made a mistake, right? They just saw the red. They didn't read it. But yes, I wear this at any networking event. Now, do I wear it on Sunday afternoons when I'm lounging around watching TV? No. But if I'm going to any networking event, I always wear my badge. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I want people to know, first of all, that I'm a professional. But I also want people to know who I am even before they greet me. It's just a habit I got into many, many years ago. Yeah. So that's, I got over the ego of it and feeling self-conscious of it pretty fast. Putting my picture on back in when I started, I was a little nervous about putting my picture on my business card. I got over that pretty fast too. I've never been a shy person, but there's certain things that make you feel a little like,
It's like, are you being too cheesy?
Yeah. Do you think I look cheesy?
No.
Okay.
No,
Thank God.
That's the question that I asked myself.
There's so much stuff going on in your brain. You ever take bold? One of the great things about the bold class, I encourage everyone to take it, is that we get into our heads. And we don't do things because of this voice talking to us that is just a complete distraction. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. I don't have anything more, but I think we've covered a lot. And I hope it's been helpful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I came across one book today. Brian mentioned that it's how you hold yourself accountable. And let me see, extreme ownership.
What's the title?
Extreme ownership. How U.S. Navy SEALs lead and win, and it's primarily he said it's just a great accountability.
Ownership.
Yeah.
Sounds very
So
extreme.
that means that when you're trying to schedule your one thing and trying to stick to your calendar, read that. Hopefully, I'll finish that. I'll read that.
Thank you,
Extreme.
Stephen.
You're
you,
welcome.
Stephen. Very helpful.
Extreme ownership. Who's it by?
It's by
The Navy SEAL. How do you pronounce this? No, I don't know.
Jock Willink and Leaf. That sounds.
Oh, U.S. Navy SEAL lead to win. Jocko Willing.
I'll text you. I got your number.
Working on it. Have a buyer?
Preet.
I sent you one file.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they changed the
Oh,
price
you
for
can
the
bring
work
it.
to